we're going to discuss is actually vulnerability, okay? Vulnerability can be really, really difficult. It can be really hard thing to do. I know I'm smiling right now, but I'm actually uncomfortable with this topic, and it's something that I've really been struggling with recently. Really, it's been really hard to like be open and be vulnerable and like just be able to do that. I'm not sure why. And I've been trying to kind of work through that. So I've been trying to figure out ways on how I can work through that. And that's why I decided to create this podcast episode today. And my main purpose is to be able to help myself and also you guys understand that it's important not to run away from vulnerability, but to be able to embrace it. Because vulnerability is something really powerful. It's something that can help us heal from things in our life, can help us connect to others, and it plays a really important part in our lives. Just to be able to move forward in life and be able to grow, we need to be vulnerable. And even though sometimes it fucking sucks and sometimes I don't want to do it and you don't want to do it, we have to try to do it for ourselves. And that's all I have on why we're making this episode today. So I guess I just want to go through like a little bit of history, right? So basically growing up, I had grown up in an environment where vulnerability wasn't really welcomed. We didn't really talk about our feelings, even though naturally I am someone who is a feelings person. I'm someone who feels a lot, expresses a lot, thinks a lot, all the things. But in my family, that was not really accepted, not really embraced. I was just basically shut down, or when I would share those emotions, it became more about the other person, and just like it was kind of like an ego boost to them that I felt so hurt by their actions, or that they made me feel a certain way. It kind of empowered them more and made them feel like more important. Instead of being able to talk about what I felt, it became about them. So those are just some examples of how vulnerability turned out for me growing up in the environment that I grew up. What I was afraid of, sad about, or felt that I needed to work on, I kept to myself, you guys. So once again, like, if I was going through something, I didn't really even have a close relationship with my siblings during the time. So when we were kids, we didn't really talk or interact with each other that much. So I really kept a lot of shit to myself, majority of things. I don't think I ever shared what my innermost, deepest thoughts were with anyone. Because for me, they just felt really dark. And I needed help, you guys. From a young age, I can say I needed help, mental help, but I just wasn't capable of opening up about that or about my deepest, darkest thoughts. And so I just kind of buried it all inside of myself because that felt a little bit more easier to manage for me. That felt more comfortable for me, and that felt like if I poured out everything that I thought and felt, I felt that I was just gonna crumble, or that I was gonna be seen as weak, or like something was wrong with me. And that's why I was like, I'd rather just keep it all inside. For me, it's easier that way. And it's just something that I knew how to do really well because that's just how I was taught to behave. So I didn't really express what I felt, and the only time I would was when I would get drunk. So from ages 12 through 21, I was drinking alcohol. During those times when I would get drunk, that's when I was able to really express what I was going through, or what I was thinking, or what I was feeling. even to myself, it's gonna sound crazy, but even to myself, the thoughts that I would think or what the things that I would feel that felt really dark, I would try to make it feel like it wasn't real. I could not even admit to myself um, what I was going through, or like what my deepest, darkest thoughts were, or what I was feeling. And when I would get drunk, I would finally admit things to myself and finally be even vulnerable with myself, because I wasn't even really capable of doing that for a long time. There was thoughts that were really strong that I couldn't push, and those are the thoughts that I would admit to myself or that I would acknowledge. But then majority of the time, majority of my thoughts I would just push because I didn't want to interact with it or deal with it, because it just felt so heavy and painful. So alcohol for me was kind of like that door that opened up a world where I was able to release the pain that I felt. So most of the time when I would drink, I would cry very strongly. I would cry a lot. I would also try to be alone a lot of the time. I loved drinking alone because I was able to really cry and be angry if I wanted to without anyone being around or judging me. And I would just tell myself like I'm miserable, or like my past is always gonna haunt me, just because I went through a lot of trauma as a kid and developed PTSD because of it. And so I really carried that sense of like guilt and unworthiness with me for a long time. And so yeah, it was just really, really hard. And for that's why I loved alcohol as a kid, because it really like helped me get in touch, or I thought, get in touch with myself in a sense, and help me admit what I was thinking and feeling, because I couldn't do it sober. And I would face my thoughts of like sadness and my problems that I had with myself was really only when I was drunk. And it sounds shitty to say, but that's really the truth. That's when I was able to release everything. And then I would be vulnerable with others as well. Like it was easier for me to like express what I thought or what I felt with others. If I kind of reflect in present time, right, with vulnerability, I feel like I've been experiencing a lot of different environments recently where I've been put in a situation where I'm dealing with someone that reminds me of like my childhood environment. They really set me off. I might not express it as much or anything, but they really trigger me. They make me feel like I'm in fight or flight mode when I'm around them. I pretty much try to avoid them a lot. And this is me being vulnerable with you guys, trying to be. I try to avoid them because I realize that they're like this mosquito that they're just gonna try to like take my blood and like try to take what they can from me. And my job, the way I see it, is to obviously get away from them, talk to them when I need to, and like just be cordial and like try to keep the peace, because I don't want any problems or anything like that. But they really remind me of that environment that I grew up in, where I felt really small, where I felt like I had to compete for someone's love, someone's attention, where I felt like, okay, I'm deserving of their love and I'm gonna prove it to them. Not that this person, I feel like I have to prove anything to them, because they're not my family, so I don't care as much. Like I don't I care to the point where like I care to keep things cordial, but I don't care to like win them over. But in the environment that I grew up, I cared so much about winning a certain person over that at times I felt like they loved me, right? And I was like, oh, so this is what it feels like to feel their love. But I only really received that love when I was deserving of it to them, or when I did something that met their perspective or their standards. They would finally give me that love that I craved so much, or that peace and calmness within our relationship that I wanted so bad, or a bonding moment. But then I would do something that they didn't like, or I behaved a certain way that they didn't like, and they would snatch that away from me. And I was constantly, I'm just basically reflecting now, but I was constantly in a cycle of trying to win their love and trying to create more of those moments where we could bond, and where there could be peace, because I care so much about this person. I love this person till this day. I care about them so much. But even a couple months ago, I was still there trying to like have those moments with them, those moments that they give to me conditionally. They give to me when they want. They give to me when I do something they like. And it really destroyed me. And it still destroys me till this day. It really, like, coming to that realization, and I would feel so like tense with them, because they're one of the people that I care about the most in my life. And to come to the realization that, to really fully comprehend that I'm never gonna have that with that person. I'm never gonna like have a healthy relationship with them, or unless I distance myself from them and keep things at a surface level, even though I genuinely don't want to. It's what I have to do, and coming to that realization is really painful. It's like it like blew up in my face a little bit, because now that I'm in a different environment where I have to interact with someone that's not a family member, that makes me feel similar to how this person made me feel. Like, they try to like be kind to me and like try to pretend like they have no problem with me. Very conditional, like give me opportunities when they feel like it, are nice to me when they feel like it, and then they can be an extremist and be an asshole the next day. It kind of felt like that environment that I was in with that family member. It feels very similar. And fortunately, it has taught me to the importance of disconnecting from that cycle, taking myself out of that cycle, and just seeing things for how they are. It's taught me the importance of wanting to maintain peace. It's taught me the importance of not engaging in something that is just never going to end. It's always going to be a repetitive cycle over and over and over again. But it's really put me in a state where I feel like it's hard to be vulnerable, just because when I was with this family member, I felt like I couldn't be vulnerable. And if I was if they made me believe, because at times they would make me believe that I could be vulnerable, and at times they would be understanding towards me, and at times like they welcome vulnerability, but then later on they'd blow it up in my face and use it against me. So being vulnerable around them wasn't really welcomed, and now I feel like interacting with this person who I'm not related to, I feel like I'm back in this shell where being vulnerable feels very nerve-wracking, fearful, and I just feel like I'm back in this shell in a sense, because they really trigger me in that way, just because they remind me so much of like that family member. And it's been a lot. It's really put me in this like fight or flight mode that my body has been in. And it's kind of put me in this state where, mental state, it's kind of a psychological state where I just feel like being vulnerable is harder in a sense. But it's also other factors that play into it with vulnerability. Also with therapy, I've just been experiencing a lot. I'm very vulnerable in therapy just because you have to be, in a sense. Not that you have to or you should do anything, but in order to be able to grow and move forward and do all the things, you have to have the courage to be vulnerable. You have to open up about things from your past, things that you want to forget, that you don't want to remember. I try my hardest to remember, because I also understand that vulnerability is going to be the thing that helps me heal. So in therapy, I try to be as vulnerable as I can, but it feels exhausting after a while to be vulnerable outside of it, because I feel that it takes a lot of mental power from me to be vulnerable. It takes a lot out of me sometimes to open up about things that hurt me or that have hurt me in the past. I've been working on a lot of trauma work. After therapy, I just feel exhausted, because talking about trauma, being vulnerable, being open, it can feel like a lot. And after that, I just don't want to face anything anymore. I'm just I shut down, and I try to push things to the side, because in my head, I just think there's so much that I can take. There's so much that I can face, that being more vulnerable feels like my body's just gonna shut down, or I'm gonna shut down, and like it makes me wanna just, and I always use this metaphor because I feel like it perfectly explains how my anxiety makes me feel, but it just makes me want to hide under a bed and not ever get out and just stay in there. And I just want life to pass me by, and I just want to be able to hide and not face the pain that is in my life, because it just feels easier that way. It just becomes overbearing that I'm like, it's easier for me not to face things sometimes and not be vulnerable, because I already feel so tense that it just makes me want to tense up more and just like hide and not face the shit that is going on in my life. I know that sounds shitty, and I know that's like, Elisa, come on, dude, don't do that, but you guys, I don't know. But then if I do that, it's like a pot that's ready to explode. You know, the water is boiling, it's just there, foaming, and then it's like, I don't want to wait for shit to hit the fan, you know, but sometimes I do wait till shit hits the fan. And then I'm like, man, I should have just fucking dealt with this at the beginning, but then I wasn't mentally ready to deal with it, or emotionally. I don't know, you guys, it's a lot. It really is a lot. But I've been trying to like figure out how can I cope with this? How can I help myself and others through this? Because I know I'm not the only one who's like has a difficult time being vulnerable, being open about their innermost thoughts, or like what they feel inside. I know I'm not the only one struggling with that. I know that being vulnerable can feel like going down a roller coaster, you know. It's like you feel this anxiety as you're looking down at the roller coaster, and you just feel like tense about it. So I'm just trying to kind of ease that and try to figure out ways on how I can cope through this, and hopefully it'll help y'all. But tip number one, I thought about it and I'm like, maybe embracing those difficult feelings and feeling them can actually help. I know a lot of the times when I've been going through depression, anxiety, even like just thoughts about like worthlessness, stuff like that, really dark thoughts, really hard feelings to navigate through. I like to spend some time in those feelings and those thoughts. Whether that is me just sitting there with the pain, crying, talking to family member, best friend, somebody, writing about it, like really letting those feelings set in, you guys. And that, I think that's one of the hardest parts, is admitting to yourself what those feelings are, acknowledging those feelings, seeing them for what they are. At least for me, I sometimes get tired of crying. I get tired of crying, but they say crying makes the lashes grow long, so, and y'all, I'm not wearing any mascara. Hey, maybe crying is a good thing. That's really the only positive I can see in it, of crying, is the long lashes. But besides that, I don't, it's draining, okay? Even after I cry, I'm like, damn, I'm tired, you know? Or like, I'll do what Role Model said, Role Model, the artist. Sometimes I cry in the shower. So he says something about crying in the shower because it doesn't feel like you actually cried because the water is already running down your face. So it don't feel like I did. Sometimes I cry in the shower, so it don't feel like I did. You know, crying, like I said, it's exhausting, you guys. After a while, I'm like, damn, I'm tired of shit. And then I take a nap because I'm fucking emotionally drained, and it took everything out of me. Okay, you guys, it really took everything out of me. And I think that before the pills, before the birth control, before everything, I used to cry a lot, you guys. I literally would cry so much. I'd go to my park, my favorite park. I'd go walk around and I'd fucking just shed tears. And I'd be like, I hate my life. Like literal tears. And I would cry like for everything. After my hormones got straight, after the moods were stabilized, I don't cry as much, but when I do cry, I'm like, damn, bitch, I'm tired of shit. I'm really emotionally drained, but it's good, y'all. It's good to just fucking embrace that shit, dude. Embrace, like, you, the same way you would embrace happiness, okay? Embrace the fucking sadness and the hardness of life and the fucking struggle, bitch. Embrace it, you know? Sit with it for a while. Talk to somebody about it. Talk to yourself about it, you know? Do all the things. Go for a walk. Reevaluate your life. You know, sometimes me, when I go for a walk, I listen to some music. Sometimes I love listening to music but I have no words, you guys. I play a little Austin Farwell, okay? He's a pianist. And I'll just sit, like, I'll just think as I walk, okay? I'll let my thoughts do the thinking. A tip from my therapist, she said, if you want to think, but you want music in the background, because I'm a big music person, honestly, I can't really function without it. I literally work with music every day. I don't even watch videos anymore. I used to, but I realized how distracting it can be. So now I just listen to like elevator music or like classical music. But music, for me at least, makes me feel really comfortable. It makes me feel really safe. So I need my music for everything, okay? For everything. For everything in my life. I love music. When I'm happy, you guys, when I'm at the beach, okay? I love going to the beach. When I'm at the beach, sometimes I cry tears of happiness, okay? And I need my little music in the background, okay, to fit that vibe, you know, to fit that, the scenery, okay? I need it. And so, you know, go for a walk, listen to that little classical music, music that has no words so that you're able to think and kind of work through those feelings that you're feeling. And kind of embrace, you know, those feelings. For me, moving around, like doing something helps me feel good. So that's why walking, when I need to think about something, or I need to like, or I'm trying to face some type of emotion or problem, going for a walk is the key for me. You know, thinking about it, asking myself questions, doing all that jazz. It's the move, you guys. My second tip, as I was literally talking about it, ask yourself why. Okay, you guys. A lot of the times when I'm sad, I actually don't know why I'm sad. Or when I'm feeling anxious, I don't know. The reason why is because I don't take time to ask myself why. The question, the simple question, the powerful question of why. ¿Por qué? Okay? I don't ask myself that question sometimes. And I don't actually have a conversation with myself about what's going on. And so I let shit build up and then I wonder. I'm like, oh my God, why do I feel so anxious? Why do I feel so anxious? Well, how did it all start? Well, it all started when I got to work late. Okay, why did you get work too late? Why did you get to work late? Well, because I slept late. Why did you sleep late? Well, because I was on TikTok. Why were you on TikTok? I'm on TikTok because I've been trying to avoid my feelings. Boom. I do that a lot, you guys. I think I do that a lot. When I don't want to face my feelings, I get on TikTok and it distracts me. It truly does. Distracts me from what I feel and think. So getting to the root of your problems, asking yourself why, really helps you with that vulnerability within yourself, okay? Kind of like you're having a conversation with yourself, or that friend that knows that something's wrong with you and they keep asking you why. They keep wanting to know what is wrong with you. They're wanting to help you. Be that friend for yourself, you guys, okay? Like, if you notice something is up with you, go be alone, okay? This is my tip, and this is something that I do. I put my headphones on, okay? So I put my headphones on, like Addison Rae said. I go to a private space, whether that's the restroom, whether that's I go for a walk outside. I get away from everybody, okay? And then I go have a conversation with myself. Okay, I'm feeling very triggered. Something about today is making me feel triggered. Why? Okay, this person just diminished me earlier. They told me that I couldn't do anything right. And that reminds me of when blah, 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 blah used to diminish me and tell me that I couldn't do anything right. And that really affected my self-esteem. Kind of digging, you know, asking yourself why. don't dig too much, because sometimes we're in an environment where we can't dig and we can't have a little mental breakdown, okay? But dig to the point where you figure out the answer to as to why. Because if you do that, honestly, you're building the relationship with yourself, you guys, okay? And I hated, when I was young, I hated people that said, love yourself, but get to know yourself. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. What? I didn't understand those people. I was like, what? Well, know yourself? What are you talking about? Even then, my New Joysian accent wanted to come out. What are you talking about? Like that. What are you talking? Wait, no, now I'm sounding British. Talking. Talking. I don't know, you guys. I thought I had a New Jerseyan accent. I'm failing right now. Talking. I'm just sounding like British. Or talking. What are you talking about? A boat? No, I'm sounding Canadian. Okay. Where I'm trying to go here is that I used to hate those fucking people. Okay, love yourself first. Get to know who you are. But the older I get, the more mental institutional help I get, the more I realize, yes, they're right. They were right. It's so weird because once you kind of open that portal of understanding that you are also a person and that there's things that you don't even know about yourself that you have to kind of get to know. It's so weird, you guys. It's such a weird world. It's like there's things that you don't even know about yourself. There's like characteristics or like deep feelings that you feel that you uncover. Kind of like getting to know a new person or a new friend. You might think you know them, but then you ask them questions for the longest time and you spend so much time with them that you discover new things about them. That's how it is with yourself. If you have never really spent time getting to know yourself or asking yourself questions or like acknowledging your feelings, once you start doing that, it's like you're getting to know someone new. And it's a beautiful experience, you guys. It's kind of confusing though. I get kind of confused by it because I'm like, how did I not know this about myself? But it's like for years I didn't really care to know myself. I just thought that I deserved to. Okay, you guys, that's the real truth. So I'm like, I'm not worth getting to know me. I don't care to know me or what I need or what I want. Like, I give a shit, okay? I just need to not exist. Deep thoughts, deep dark thoughts. I don't think that way no more. But I thought about it like that. I don't care. Think I care to know Elisa? Fuck that girl, okay? That's what I thought. It's hard times. But, yeah, honestly, when you question yourself, you ask yourself things, that just builds that relationship, you guys. The most important relationship of all, you guys. Honestly, I've learned that. It helps you just get to the root of why you're feeling a certain way. It's like, if you're vulnerable with yourself, it's easier to be vulnerable with others. And that's something that I've learned. Honestly, I've been struggling being vulnerable with myself even. And this is something that I know I just try to avoid a lot, especially right now. I just don't really feel like myself. I feel like I've been changing and evolving a lot. And I feel very like, whoop. So it's been hard to be vulnerable with myself and others. It's easy to do it when life is running smooth. But when it's kind of a little bit all over the place, it's like, oh, I just want to hide under a shell. But yeah. Also, tip number 3, it's important to give yourself permission to admit how you feel to yourself and someone that you trust. Like I said earlier, you guys, giving yourself that permission, telling yourself, Elisa, this is me talking to myself, please tell me what you're thinking and feeling. I'm allowing you to tell me what you're thinking and feeling because I don't see anything wrong with it, girl. Please just dig deep into yourself. What do you feel right now? giving yourself that permissioning. Opening the door, you guys. Opening the door to say what you feel. Opening the floodgates to think and say what you feel. And sometimes talking with a friend about it just feels good, because they're that sounding board, okay? They're that, like, person that can kind of give you a space to let out your thoughts that you didn't even know you had. That's happened to me a lot. When I talk to someone I trust or I love, like my best friend or my siblings, and I'm just talking, and then I realize, oh, I didn't know I felt this way. Because it's good to, like, talk out loud to someone that just kind of lets you talk and say whatever, and they're not going to give a shit about what you say. And then it helps you understand, like, what's going on with yourself. Yeah, just giving yourself that permission. Not, like, putting yourself in a prison, you guys, because sometimes with vulnerability, it can be really difficult, at least for me. For some people it might be easy, and I wish I was in that state right now. I feel like there's been chunks of my life where being vulnerable has felt easier, and it's felt more manageable. Right now it just doesn't feel that way. I mean, it might just be a phase that I'm going through, or a chunk in my life where I'm just a little bit more closed off and, like, just in my own shell. But yeah, I just feel like, well, no, now that I think about it, in the past it was probably more hard to be vulnerable, just because I wasn't as open as, like, to share my thoughts or ideas. But like, I'm more vulnerable in a social way. Like, I'm able to do that. But vulnerable actually with my most deepest thoughts, it's hard. It's been hard right now. But whatever. I'm having sidetracked thoughts. But yeah, just giving yourself that permission to admit to yourself what you feel, or admitting to somebody that you trust. That way you can just release it and let it out, and kind of give yourself that space to move forward. Tip number 4, when being vulnerable and opening up, thank yourself and acknowledge your courage. You guys, being vulnerable takes so much courage. Honestly, it takes a lot of bravery to ask yourself what's wrong, to express maybe some things that you need to work on, express your weak points that you feel are weak, right? I feel like, I'm not trying to be negative, but I feel like there's parts of myself that just don't feel the strongest. There's parts of yourself that just don't feel the strongest, that you feel maybe weak in specific areas, or you might feel, I don't know, just not good about, or you're struggling with. I feel like when you do admit to yourself what those areas are, you do admit to yourself the things that are causing you pain, or open that kind of portal that that you've been trying to push off. Thanking yourself, appreciating yourself for opening that portal can make the biggest difference, because it's you acknowledging that it did take courage, that it did take bravery to be able to do that. Because honestly, you guys, I've met a lot of people in my life, a lot of family members that are just not capable of being vulnerable. It's really hard for them. They rather put this facade of, I don't care, I'm strong, and strong meaning like there's nothing that bothers me, I push everything under the rug, and shit like that, and so when you're like, no, I don't want to push everything under the rug, and these are things that are causing me pain, and these are things that I need to work on. I don't feel the strongest in this area. When you have the courage to admit those things, or admit when someone hurts you, or admit when someone hurt your feelings, do all of those things. It takes a lot of emotional intelligence, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of maturity. So if you're capable of doing that and you do that, thanking yourself is honestly rewarding, because it's like you're saying, hey, I know this was hard for you to do, but thank you for doing this for me, because I really needed this. When you're vulnerable with others and you open up, right, because you trust them, because you love them, and maybe you need their help, or maybe you just need someone to talk to, or doing all the things, thanking yourself for doing that can also go a long way. And coming from someone who needs a lot of practice in vulnerability, honestly, I've been pretty good about it. These past few years, I've been doing good. It's not that I'm like not vulnerable at all. I don't think it's an extreme thing, but it's definitely something that I run away from, because it's easier for me to run away, and vulnerability for me just feels very exhausting. But if I do it, if I open up to someone, if I open up to myself, I really just thank myself. And I think back to how there was a point in my life where I wasn't capable of doing that, and I appreciate the growth that I've done, and just all the things that I've done to push myself to get to this point. And the last thing is giving yourself breaks, you guys. I mean, this is just from personal experience, but being vulnerable is good, right? And it's good to be vulnerable. It's good to like think deeply, and it's good to acknowledge the things that maybe need some work on. Acknowledge the things that are bringing you pain. Acknowledge the pain that is there in general. Talk to yourself about it. Talk to people about it. It's good. But it's also good to kind of take a step back in a balanced way, right? Once you've gotten to that point where like you've gone to the root of your issue, whatever that issue was, you were vulnerable with yourself or with somebody else, you kind of worked through it. Take a little break, okay? Take a little break, because it can be exhausting. It's good to just disconnect from it. Go have a little bit of fun. Go buy yourself that matcha, go disconnect from analytical thoughts, okay, you guys? Because sometimes I have a difficult time doing that when I'm vulnerable, or when I'm like, I go through something and I kind of not conquer it, but I work through it. I'm just very analytical, and then I'm just like analyzing everything, and like it keeps going. But it's like, look, take a breather. Look, you put the lab coat on already. The detective glass you've used. The mission has been completed. Stop for a little bit. Go to the arcade. Go for a little shopping spree. Go take yourself to that restaurant, okay? Disconnect from it, because something that people don't tell you about working on yourself, it can be really exhausting. Healing can be very exhausting. It can feel like a lot, to the point where like sometimes I feel like I might explode, because I'm like, it's too much, and I don't want to, like, I understand you have to keep going and keep trying and doing all the things, but I also like to take breaks in between, you guys. So after therapy, for example, after therapy, I'm really exhausted. I've been using my brain a lot. I've been thinking a lot, working through a lot of things. After I've put in that work, I stop and I just fucking watch some TV after, or take a nap, or I get on TikTok, whatever's gonna help me disconnect from that analytical brain that I've been using the whole time. I've put in the work already. For an hour, I was there analyzing all my feelings, all my thoughts. I'm gonna stop analyzing for now and just breathe. Okay, you guys, when you're vulnerable, especially if it's not something that comes easy when you do it, be your best advocate, give yourself an applause, okay? Yes, queen, she was vulnerable to yourself, to others. You worked through that problem. Maybe came with a solution, maybe didn't come up with a solution, but you faced that problem in whatever case. Stop for a little bit, okay? Go fucking relax. Go for a walk. Go watch some TV. Go hang out with that friend that is fun. Go fucking eat. Do something that's gonna help you understand that not everything has to be analytical. Not everything has to be analyzed and dissected, because it really doesn't. But yeah, y'all, those are just some thoughts that I've had about vulnerability. I do have my final thoughts. So I believe that being vulnerable allows you to connect with the world more. Okay, you guys, if you're honest about, I'm struggling with this, or I feel this, or I think this, it helps you create connections that are more aligned with who you truly are. Because when we're vulnerable, we're showing maybe the most genuine side of ourselves. We're kind of taking off that mask and being like, yeah, this is what my biggest fear is, or this is my innermost thoughts, or these are parts of myself that I'm like not the happiest about. But when you open up that portal, it allows other people to see that and maybe be open with you and share things that are similar to you. And when you connect with someone on a vulnerable level, it feels very deep. It feels very human, and it's very satisfying. It feels really good, you guys. It's one of the best feelings, and I think that's how deep connections can be built, is through vulnerability. And I think when you kind of block that out and you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable with someone, you're kind of blocking a connection there. You're disconnecting from the world and from people, and you're kind of saying, I'm not gonna connect with people as much, even though that might not be your intent. Because a lot of the times when I'm not vulnerable, my intent is not to connect with people. It's just to kind of protect myself and to not feel all this anxiety and fear. But in a sense, you're kind of blocking yourself from connection, and you're disconnecting from the world. So being vulnerable is kind of like that link that connects you to others, and that creates those human relationships. And that's why it's vulnerability. It's really like a precious gift that we should cherish and acknowledge. Also, having grace with yourself. You can't be vulnerable, or when you're vulnerable, I'm just reading my notes, you guys. So having grace with yourself is important. And what I was trying to say is, like, sometimes you're gonna be vulnerable, and cool, that's amazing. But when you can't be for whatever reason, or you just don't have the capacity to do it, being graceful towards yourself is really important. And being like, for whatever reason today you just couldn't be vulnerable, or you're not wanting to ask yourself those questions, that's fine. We have tomorrow. You know, we have some other time for you to dissect that. For some reason right now you don't feel it. You might be dealing with a lot, and I'm sorry. And there will be another time for you to be vulnerable, and I'm gonna give you that space. Kind of like when you're asking somebody questions, let's say a friend, a family member, you're asking them, they're like, I don't think I'm ready to talk about that right now. I just don't feel it right now. I mean, I wouldn't push it. I would allow them to kind of process that and allow them to be like, when they're ready, they will talk about it. Right now, for some reason, they need to process whatever, or they need more time. Same way you would respect that person and give them space to talk about it when they're ready. It's the same situation for you. Give yourself that space, that grace. Once you're ready to acknowledge something, be vulnerable with yourself or with others, you'll do it. But for right now, for some reason, you don't want to, or you don't feel it, or it's not the right time. Give yourself that space and that grace, you guys. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes, I guess the analogy that I wanted to use to compare vulnerability, it can feel like a splinter that is in your skin, and it hurts to have it in there, but once you take it out, you no longer feel pain. So y'all know when like you would walk out in the grass barefoot, or even you'd be wearing your flip-flops or whatever, and then you'd get like a splinter on your foot. Having that splinter in there, you guys, I don't know if y'all ever had one. It hurts like shit, okay? It really fucking hurts. And like you move the splinter around with your finger and like you just feel the stabbing, and like it hurts really, really bad. And even when you first start taking it out, it hurts like fucking hell. And you're like, why am I even taking this out? You're questioning to yourself, why the fuck am I even, like, this shit hurts bad. It hurts worse to try to take it out. But then once you finally pull it out, it feels like it was never there. It feels like you never had a splinter. You instantly don't feel pain anymore. Not saying that vulnerability is exactly like that, but in a sense, when you finally release those like fears or those thoughts that are really weighing you down, you finally release them and let them go. You're in a sense, feel like a sense of relief, feel a sense of freedom, and you don't feel the pain as much anymore. Not saying that it's not there, but it's just not as deep or as painful as it once was, or you thought it was going to be. That's the way I feel about vulnerability. It really is something that, not instant relief, but it can really make a difference when you do it. And there's been times where I do get instant relief when I'm vulnerable. When I release something and I'm like, what was I holding on to that fear for? You know, once I released it, I don't feel it anymore. It's like instant. And it's kind of like that splinter where like I thought it was going to be even more painful if I kept removing it. But once I removed it, it felt instant relief. And I wish I would have done it sooner. And so, yeah, vulnerability is just something that, once again, can help us connect with the world, connect with ourselves, and it can make us stronger, more confident. It's really a tool that is really, really great, that can help build our self-esteem. If you're going through something similar, if you feel like you've been keeping all of these like thoughts in, feelings in, and like you're not sharing them with anyone, I'm just going to challenge you guys to share it with at least yourself. Write about it, acknowledge it within yourself, something. And then I'm going to challenge you guys to talk to this problem that you might have, or this thought that you might have, with someone you trust. Just try it once and then see how that makes you feel. And I hope that, in my heart, I hope that it makes you feel some type of relief, some type of peace, some type of calmness. I hope it's kind of like that splinter that when you take it out and you release it, that it's some type of relief for you, because we all deserve to feel that relief. We all deserve to feel loved. We all deserve to feel peace, because this world can just be very chaotic a lot of the time, and it can feel very frightening, but there's really nothing that we should be afraid of, especially when we have the power, we have control over our lives, and we can take kind of like the realms and take direction of the way that we want our life to go. But But yeah, this was a podcast episode on vulnerability. Thank you all so much for joining me today in my bedroom. I appreciate you guys, and I will see y'all in the next episode. This was Becoming Elisa. Farewell.